And this is something you never thought about, right? You never thought about that your life would be going in the wrong direction. I mean, yeah, like you started with alcohol summer because everyone starts at some point. And remember, there's no such thing like safe spot. It doesn't matter if you're someone who got clean or sober or dry, you can always come back on it. And there's always the situation that those which they interacting with alcohol, they thinking they will never get addicted or they never gonna be dependent on it or anything wrong will not gonna happen to them. It's never gonna happen to me. I'm just only doing one or two beers from time to time and I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm not, sleeping under the bridge or I'm having a house, I'm having a job, da. We can go like that forever and forever, forever. But this is like a first step of kind of a justification that things are going wrong and you're thinking you're invincible and you can, like I can stop anytime I want. Again, this it doesn't matter. The most important part is nobody's safe, right? And there's no such thing like, you know you don't have to interact with wrong people to get into the wrong place. You can start interacting yourself, right? So let's say that you're gonna start having a little bit of love over something, so you start doing that stuff, more and more and more by yourself, and then the addiction can kick it out itself anyway. So you start doing, let's say, some parties from time to time with some friends, then you coming home and then you decide that you continue drinking, and after some time you decide, like, I'm gonna be drinking, well, by myself. I mean, why should I go to, pub on the place and stuff like that, bar, when I can actually bring some home, something home, and then I can just do it at home, right? It's cheaper, cozy, right environment. If I overdo it, I got a bed next to me. All that thinking can get you to the specific places, places you don't want to be, or maybe you thought you're never gonna be, and there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, everyone has from time to time. Everyone has on a weekend. Everyone has on Thursday, a casual Friday. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing. And people will be like probably telling you in your face, oh, you were never gonna stop drinking. You're never gonna do this. You're never gonna be off. You're probably gonna do anything like for it. I mean, oh yeah, you help someone and they just like you didn't want any money, but you've been just kind of maybe hoping that you're gonna drink some with them afterwards. So like as appreciation because they served you with some kind of a dinner supper and then you had some drinking because you're probably waiting for the drinking. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it was. Nobody is safe if we're talking about the alcohol. It's just there is a case like not everyone past that point where that kind of alcohol use disorder happens. Some of us are, I would say, lucky enough so they don't get to that stage. Some of us are totally unlucky and they're getting quicker to it. And it's like we can talk about, if someone is like, having some specific genes which they kicking out, or maybe your body kind of reacts to it specific way that you're more like craving for it, whatever that is. Nobody is safe. But there is always the way that we can, you know, see and find the way to get out. For some of us, might be longer. For some of us, might be quicker. Some of us will have returns to it. Some of us more, some of us less. But the thing is, there is a way, there is a right direction. It's just purely by understanding where we are and, just getting ourselves closer to it. It's not easy. I know it's not easy. I mean, the statistics are telling you that probably 1 to 10 people get sober. But I would say the statistics are even more against you because it would be probably even less than 110. Why? Because this is like kind of a statistic, let's say, so called statistic for anyone who's registered, anyone who will get somewhere and start some kind of a sobriety way. So someone can actually take you somewhere in a box and you will be, taken from, if you got some kind of a, let's say, AA facility. So probably they calculating that based on how many members they have and how many of them succeeded and so on and so on. But there's many people they trying to do something themselves within four walls or get into the progress of getting there, or there's somebody who started it and he failed or I keep failing. So yeah, it's not easy thing to do, but it's doable. And that for some is enough. If I know that someone did it, I want to be there. I want to, just follow them. I want to be, and I want to join that group of the people that are sober and they living, they going with their lives. Their lives are changing, obviously, because there will be something new, something I never done it. It is scary. I got no support around me. I'm not even talking about the support about, support when you get support from some kind of a people they are going through that what you going right now. But majority cases we thinking that we're gonna have support from people around us and they will understand us. But majority people are thinking, you know what, you just stop, you'll be fine. But you know what? We all know it's not that easy just to stop because when you stop, other things are happening. And not always, and not everyone is prepared for other things, and not everybody knows how to handle that. Or even sometimes when you have something written down, word by word, book by book, move by move, still something might collapse, still something might not play the tune right. So, yeah, nobody is safe. Not going the right direction, we know the stuff is not going right direction. Let's have a look through the normal day, right? And if you pass the point that you're not kind of a weekend drinking person, or maybe you are, or maybe you're the person who drinks every day, how does it look like? Going to work, probably hangover already, just trying to survive till specific hour. Maybe you just like on them Red Bull or Monsters, cans at work because you can't drink. So, well, I can't get myself better using a little bit of alcohol, so I'm gonna use something which will keep my energy level up. All that vitamin B, which was totally, pissed out through the night before or evening. Now I'm trying to replenish that, so you feel like crap. You kind of survive to a specific, let's say, hour. So by the evening, already the cravings are kicking out because you're feeling better. So you can't wait. Just I'm gonna hit few. And majority cases, you kind of say to yourself, it's gonna be maybe just two, maybe a one. But when you're in a shop, you end up with three. Then you're going home, you got all the people around you. If you're living with someone, they overloading you with their stuff. You're constantly thinking how quickly I can jump on a drinking. Then that session gets stressed because now I know I got just a little bit of time or specific time when I can hit some, the time window for drinking. Then I get drunk. Once I get drunk, now I'm starting the circle of trying to get kind of a sober. So I'm gonna be, work wise, useful. If you got the job that you can hide yourself, so let's say until specific hours no one can see you, like your boss, because you're on early hours, so then until they show up, so probably within 3 to 4 hours you can kind of you know dry out in terms of that you're not going to be even maybe smelly of alcohol. But majority cases we think we don't, but we are. So that's the thing. So we try to hide ourselves, not being in a close distance. Maybe standing a little bit further away in a warehouse, in the office or whatever the place is. Constant stress, right? First stress I need to drink, then is the stress how to hide that I'm drinking, kind of a waiting for the weekend, promising yourself I'm not gonna be doing this again because the last weekend was like crap, so I don't wanna repeat this. By 12 o'clock you're thinking I'm gonna be the good boy or the good girl. Going home, everything's changes, vibes are better, you're thinking positively, well, maybe I don't have to just give up, maybe I will just lower amount, and so on and so on. Constant stress. We know how does it look like. It's very tiring, right? Sleep deprivation, I don't sleep enough, constantly tired, I don't eat well enough, or maybe I'm overeating myself. All these situations, all these stories constantly around. And you're thinking you're in a kind of a loop, right? I'm in a loop of kind of a thing I'm thinking that I'm controlling, but there is no such thing like controlling alcohol because once you know, invite the alcohol to your life. That's it. That's it. And it doesn't matter if it's big amounts or small amounts. Even when you try to, you think control it, you're doing some kind of, it's still overdoing and we know it. We just try to lie to ourselves. I got this, right? I control it, right? I'm not a bum. I'm not a loser. I'm not. Well, technically speaking, you're not. You're just someone who's got actually too close to something which is not giving you the reward as you thought in the beginning, and now it start punishing you. It's punishing you, it's punishing how you feel, it's punishing your job, it's punishing your life, it's punishing your, close ones to you, loved ones, whatever you want to call it, the colleagues, friends, whatever. Everything goes very, very bad. It's a kind of a vicious circle, and it's very tiring. That's why many people don't understand what that means, being kind of a, connected in the wrong way, as in being with alcohol when alcohol have to be around you. There's some people, they come in from work, they just hit hard the bottle, they don't even care. I mean, they might be even getting out of the shop and start drinking on the front of the shop because I need it quickly, because I need to function, right? If I don't have it, I'm not going to function right. But that's what it gets to the stage later. The body gets so much, dependent on it, that you can't even think straight. You need to hit it, so you're thinking that you're gonna be kind of a, just getting with your life better, unfortunately. So it becomes a little bit like the air. Then you go home, you will get yourself knackered, and you don't care. Probably some of you probably was in the situation that even fall asleep and just had enough time to wake up yourself at a certain point to drag yourself back to the bed, and then you start another day, and you've been waiting for the weekend, you've been thinking everything's going to be fine, I'm changing things, I'm going to be a better person, I'm going to be this and that, such and such. And unfortunately, next week everything was repeating itself. There's another month, there's another year, decade, all your plans, everything you had in your life, whatever you've been feeling so fantastically about it, everything suddenly, it's going down to the sink. Sounds familiar? People around you don't help neither. It's not that their fault, it's just the way how they are. You're thinking, if you're coming up from a background of alcoholics, let's say that your parents been drinking, or you had a drink, father was drinking, mother was drinking, whatever the story is, you kind of you're being tagged. You got some labels around you. People seeing you, and based on that how you behave and what you do, not even trying to understand why you're doing something, or just trying to get deeper. I'm not saying that they're supposed to feel sorry for you, because what you're doing is not right, and you internally, you kind of feel it within yourself, it's not right. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you have to just judge me based on what I do, because maybe there is something more deeper inside. Maybe there's something I can get it through. Maybe there's some wall which I'm struggling with, and I don't maybe I need the help to push something. Maybe I need help to, maybe it's not a help in perspective that you have to do something for me, but maybe you can talk to me, right? Anything like that, because everyone has a different needs, different solutions, different problems. Even if all them problems looks the same, they not. They not, because there's always them little tiny things which they out, putting you out of the picture of everything, and you cannot just do like this and you're gonna be there. If you do A, B, C, D, you're gonna be F, G, K, whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. That's the problem. Labels are the most sorry things ever. And when you're trying to do something, unfortunately, when the people around you, they see that you're trying to do some changes, right? They're gonna try to drag you down. So let's say you have like, okay, decided don't want to drink anymore, and dropping the word around the house. Or maybe you don't drop the word around the house, and you start behaving well. Everyone's thinking that on the weekend you're gonna be knackered, so again it's gonna be crappy. So they kind of are used to that situation. So this is the habit that happens, and then you don't, right? You're not doing anything for the week. Second week, they do notice stuff. But the trouble is, they've been probably, in majority cases, the first ones, they've been telling you that you should stop, you should control it, you got a problem with this. When you start doing something about it, then now you got these weird comments going towards you. Like, oh, what's happened to you? You don't drink 2 weeks, you don't drink 3 weeks, and then you're thinking, what is your message? What's going on? First, you are the person who's telling me to stop, right? If we're talking about the partners, for instance. And now when I try to do something about it, or you got scared suddenly? Or you scared of that I was succeeded? See, the problem is as well, people are claiming some stuff, but then later on, when you start doing something, they got afraid of it. And sometimes the communication changes as well. It's just because If they knowing you as a drunk, they comfortable with they know. And if you are, coming to the point when you becoming dry, sober, or you get better, you kind of you can tell that you kind of resonate on the different vibes, because when you're drunk, there's a certain slow level of vibes. You don't really care about nothing. You're just thinking about this. And I don't want to sound bad, but some people using that against you because they have like power over you. Okay, so they thinking like they in charge of you as well. So that looks like more like adopted kiddo, right? You adopted some child, and now you kind of in charge of this child. So until it's kind of 18 years old and fly as or stuff. So the same stuff is with the people they drink it, because all they are interested with is just the drinking, right? So it could be a situation like sometimes your partner like to keep you in that spot, because let's say it will be, well, this is not nice, but happens very often. Like, let's say that you're kind of a high income, bringing money person, household wise. But then when you're drunk, you're just like giving anything else of responsibilities to others, and they're happy with that. As long as the money in the bank account is okay, it's nothing, there's no problem with that. So you go into work, you do your job, you do your bits, then you get drunk. All you're asking for is just like them certain little things you need, to cover up your day. And they kind of, it's just because you, let's say, you're long hours away, and, so they taking care of anything else because you can't do it. So that means they will have to have access to all the money. And as long as you bring in the money, everything's fine. But then when, you are not drinking, then you start interacting more, and they don't like that, because they got themselves to the point, to the position where they could do whatever they want to do, and you've been just constantly saying, yeah, okay, whatever you like, yeah, no problem, honey, yeah, yeah, sweet love, yeah, you got this, yeah, you do it, do whatever you like, and so on and so on and so on. And then later on, when you getting dry, getting sober, you start being more involved, and they don't like that. And that's why you've got them sparks later, and that's why sometimes people getting like afraid of that, they thinking that they dealing with a different person, but they don't. It's just like it gets to the point that, or they forgot about who you really are and how you're dealing with things, or they never kind of got the chance to know you, because they knowing you from the day one when you've been always drunk and you didn't really care. It's not that you don't care, it's just like, it was easy for you to push some responsibility on that other person, and that other person actually didn't really mind it, because it, had the ability to do everything themselves. And now when you're getting dry or you're getting sober, you start to speak, and you start to stand for yourself as well. And sometimes they don't like that, and sometimes they like to keep you in a spot, where you've been with your drinking, because that was suiting them very well. And then many people hear that very often, and it's kind of a little, sorry to hear that, when you're trying to get to the point where you're achieving your goals and you're becoming sober, and someone says to you, you know what, I really like you more when you've been drunk, when you know deeply inside that it was kind of damaging you and everything around it anyway. But if you're hearing something like that, that's definitely not nice. Another problem is that the people around you, they don't know what you're fighting with. If someone is not having any disruption or problems with alcohol, or being dependent, having alcohol use disorder, alcoholism, whatever you want to call it, they will never understand that. They will never understand what you're fighting with, because in the majority cases, we're fighting with ourselves. It's not the cravings, because the cravings, it will be something like, I get it. I mean, there will be some people, they telling you that, after 22 years not drinking, I still have cravings from time to time, which in my opinion, it's more like, maybe at some point you just stop drinking because you had to, rather than you wanted to, because that would be that would be some kind of, I would say there's some kind of a group in that perspective. There's a group of people, they would like to stop drinking because of, I have enough, okay. And then there's a group of the people, they stopped because they had to, not because they wanted to, it's just because they had to. Let's say the doctor told you this, or let's say that you know, um, have the situation that the kids, they've been pointing you at the point that they hate you like this or this and that and such and such. Maybe you needed to stop because your life is just kind of a, collapsing and being ruined by the time when you drink it, but you still, whatever this gonna sound like, you like to drink. You like, someone says to you, I always like to drink. I had no, I had liked to drink, but this got out of the control. And then there's a difference between someone who decided, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore. I mean, I'm done, I'm finished. It doesn't work for me. And maybe that is the reason why the people later, when they 30, 25, 10, 3 years not drinking, and they not drinking because they stopped drinking because they needed to stop drinking rather than they just wanted to. Maybe that's the key. Me speaking for myself, it's just like I did want it to stop. I do want to stop. I don't want to do it anymore. It doesn't serve me. It gets me nothing. It gets me nothing. Maybe on the beginning I was thinking it gives me some, cool vibes and this and that, such and such. But unfortunately, when I got to some certain point, I felt like, nah, it's just like it don't work, right? But then when you get deeper and you start seeing like that you actually can do your life and you can rule without, then it's awesome, right? The biggest point and the best point is when you get into the stage where you are like, you come into the shop. It's like today we've done some shopping, went to the shops, and I passed through some aisle which was groceries and things, and then you have the aisle with alcohol, and it was like promotion or something because, well, that's one of the things the promotion's going to be constantly all the time because they need to make sure to clear up the shelves or racking for the next delivery, right? So, um and it was like the point where you meeting yourself, you have the eye contact with the object that used to you've been picking like the priority in a shop because that's what it was, and now you kind of have close look in perspective, eye to eye, and you feel nothing. And that is the greatest one. It wasn't even like that you afraid of something that you might break. You were not afraid of what that will or which place will take me to, and I don't like this place. It's just like you gazing through, you seeing it, nothing, no spark, and you moving on. And that's brilliant. And that's brilliant if that happens. But everyone has a different time. That's something we need to understand as well, because it could be a people which they not drinking for 5 years, 10 years, and they still having internally attack, showing them like, oh, that was difficult. I needed to quickly leave that room, leave that place, or that situation, or whatever I've been into it because that was getting me like kind of a maybe second thoughts. And then you have a people which they get into some certain point that they don't feel nothing. You kind of a feeling free, but you understand as well that it's very easy to change your mind. Change your mind and perspective. Oh, look at me. I don't drink so long. So what else? What wrong could happen now, right? If I will try some. And understanding that, your connection with it, it's not going to be healthy for you in perspective that you know what next follows, then is the moment when you be in the favor of picking the right choice in terms of not doing it, not touching it, not even taking with you. Because if I take that bottle of something with me, I'm bringing all them problems back, and them problems back will be way way faster than ever before. So this is that what some people which they never had a problem with alcohol or anything like that, they thinking that if you don't drink, because they thinking the time will sort things through. No, it won't. It's not about the time. Time is important because it gives you kind of value, right? That's what the time for a human being is. The longer something goes, then stronger it's supposed to be. But not necessarily in that case, because you might have a people which they're not drinking for certain time, and they still they kind of a weak in perspective of they can very easily snap. If something will happen, they will snap. So through that time, you develop some kind of a defensive mechanisms for yourself. I mean, everyone can go and listen about what the triggers are, which is fine, and understanding them. But then there's the question if you're gonna be able and you are strong enough to apply this. You know, or being in perspective thinking later. Just because I've got so much time off, it doesn't mean that I'm so safe that I can right now start pouring alcohol to others. Like you're going for some kind of a party with someone, and then you're gonna have a situation like, I don't drink, but I can always pour the vodka for you. It doesn't it doesn't work that way. I mean, just like, of course, you're keeping yourself away from it as much as you can, because you don't want to recreate any new or old behaviors, because you know that that can lead you, unfortunately, to the place when you try to left it. And unfortunately, your kind of a fall could be very, very quickly, even if you're thinking so strong. Me personally, I don't feel strong. I feel more relief that I can do it without, right? So any other places I've been so far, or interactions we usually when you have alcohol, I not worry about it because my choice is not to do it. So that is the only thing which people, which they never been kind of prone to something in a very bad way later, they will never understand. I will say it again. It's not your fault. It's just like some things in our lives are happening. We being part of something. Sometimes we are very not aware, unfortunately. The road to sobriety is bumpy. It's bumpy. I mean, we think one thing, something else happens, right? Or there's many things we um, will not be able to see. You're not going to be able to foresee everything. I'm sorry, you're not going to see everything coming. It's just a question later how you react to something. And you can always, this is like kind of a preparation for something, right? You know that something wrong could happen, right? Or you're learning there is some stuff around you. I mean, on the beginning, when you jump in on the road of sobriety, you don't take in perspective that people don't really care about you, what's going on, unless there's like very people who's they very, very much affected by this. But any other, you know, strangers, for them, if they don't think or they don't see problem with alcohol, and they're not experiencing anything like that, it's going to be no problem. I mean, they're going to offer you for instance alcohol with certain occasions, places. It's just because for them it's going to be a kind of a natural way of doing things. And not everyone is actually looking at you, that you have something written on your forehead saying, I'm sorry, I got problem with alcohol, I can't drink, I'm trying to get sober, or something like that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. No one's going to remove all the alcohol around the world just because of you. They're not going to do it. Even if there's proven it's not healthy, it's not this and that, but then you've got other stuff. And this substance is so long with human history, right? There is kind of a second skin. But then you as a you have a power to do something about it in terms of your choice. That's the only thing which we have. Knowing where is my destination, knowing where I'm going, understanding what is doing to me. But unfortunately, we have to be totally honest with ourselves. That's one of the things. I know on the beginning, when you try to maybe quit, maybe do something about it, we still kind of like to lie to ourselves that maybe I can, if I cannot do the way how I'm doing it, so maybe it's going to be the case that I can have from time to time. Everyone been there, and it doesn't work. It's not about the distance, it's not about the time. That's the trick. It doesn't matter how long you're thinking that you're not gonna drink for 6 months and you're gonna be kind of a safe. But to be fair, in majority cases, people are dying within them 6 months, dying and waiting. You just waiting. You're waiting for this to happen. So it's like long queue, right? Long queue for the shop. You need something from the shop. You really need it. You need it now, and you're gonna be waiting in that queue. It doesn't matter, because that wait is worth for you just to do this, right? So you kind of you being in a place when you missing so much that you are keen and able to wait 6 months to do it. And when it happens, then it happens usually bad, because the longer you wait, the worse it gets. If you don't wait, then you can't control it, because it's impossible to control it, but you constantly try to convince yourself that you can, but you don't. And it's kind of a missing the purpose in perspective. Like, with used to, you've been doing it because it was an occasion, and alcohol was served there anyway. Now the need for occasion is gone, and you are more towards doing it because you try to, maybe you convince yourself that you like doing it, or this is, this is always what we've been doing it. It's like, what do you mean we're not going to do it now? And that constant fight, inner fight, trouble to explain yourself, to justify everything, to not to be in a place. When you see someone who's sober, you're being jealous, right? You're being jealous because you would like to do that. I remember when I met someone who was in some kind of a huge party that was like a wedding party, and that person did not touch nothing the whole night. And I was actually watching that person from a distance, and I was thinking like, how? But how can you do that? How he can do that and still, have a joy and fun? How? Well, I couldn't do it because there was like a little bit peer pressure as well around you, because some people been expecting you to do it, to drink. It's just because that was the kind of a custom, as they've seen you as a person who's drinking anyway. So now when you probably will come up with idea that you don't want to drink, they will like be like, what do you mean? Were you sick? Were you ill? Well, you got some, condition. So, but what were you on some medication or something? So that it's like, you know, it's unbelievable. And I think in a little bit, somewhere probably in back of my mind, because I very well remember that moment, and I'm thinking like, maybe that was seeded somewhere in my head that maybe one day I'm gonna be there. And guess what? Today, as I speak, I am in this play. I am in this play. So it's possible. And I was always thinking like, you know what? What? Come on. The weekend has to be something, just chillax, relax. The best way to relax is with this or with that. What are you talking about? Well, I was so wrong. But that's what it is. I mean, the destination, the direction, and all that stuff, that has to be kind of a put it together. So when all these bits are together in one place, eventually they're gonna start working well. But we have to do something towards it, right? We have to do something towards it. That's internal fight you're gonna have. This is the internal fight. But at some point, you're gonna stop fighting with yourself. You're gonna stop fighting with yourself, and you're gonna be going to the place where you're gonna be. And that place where I am right now is sobriety. And I wish that sobriety to everyone around, to everyone around me. That's the main reason why I'm doing this channel anyway. Because you can do it. If I could do it, someone could do it, then you can do it. Don't put yourself on a position that you need certain time. Don't put yourself in a position that you supposed to be in a certain place, situations, whatever, to achieve your thing. Everyone will have his own pace. You've got your own pace. Don't go through that you're supposed to be within a month. I'm supposed to be there within 6 months. I'm supposed to be there because, you know, or Tom, John, Mary, Susan, Lily, whoever that person is, it's there. And if I'm not there, that means there's something wrong with me. And remember, do not allow anyone to tell you that you are, something is wrong with you, that you're a bum, you're this, you're this. Whatever life you had, it wasn't working for you. You have a fully right to be at a place, and you have a fully right to be sober, and you have a fully right to dream again. Okay, because in majority cases, people, is they drink and they don't dream anymore, or the only dream they have just when I'm gonna have next one, or I would love to have next one or whatever, or two or five, but still. Okay, this is their story about you. It's not your story. And if you're gonna start believing in other people's stories, you become them stories. But you're supposed to be your story, and your story is being sober. If I can do it, you can do it. If anyone can do it, you can do it. As I said already, everyone can be the king or a queen of sobriety. You can be yourself. I hope this video was beneficial for you. You liked it. If you're interested with more, you know what to do. I wish you all these sober days, sober years with you, months, or whatever you after, in sobriety way. Go and get it, achieve it. Take care of yourself. and I see you in the next one.